speaking of Ed Ogeron and all the speculation and all that, let's kick it on down to Oxford, where Lane Train met with the media here, and he was asked about Coach O and the firing there at LSU. They're good buddies. They coached at USC, and I assume most of you know, had Kiffin not landed the FAU job after he left Alabama, he was headed to LSU to be their offensive coordinator. So these two very close. And Kiffin was asked about Coach O getting dismissed, so to speak, there in LSU, even though they're facing them here this week. But let's kick it over to Lane Kiffin reacting to the news.
Lane, obviously a lot of pre-existing relationship with Ed Orgeron, and obviously there's a lot going on at LSU right now. Just curious on your thoughts on how everything's kind of unfolded there the last couple of days.
Yeah, I don't know the details, of all that stuff and what went on. Obviously, Ed, did a great job there, won a national championship. So I'm not really sure what happened here as of late. And it's crazy, they just beat a really good Florida team, when I'm sure not a lot of people gave them a chance, after the Kentucky game. So, it shows that they have great players and they can play really well. And they did that. I think to finish that, this is just, it's a profession that we've always been in, but now more than ever, it is so much, not just what have you done in the last year, it literally is what have you done Saturday. I just had this conversation with another head coach, just who's struggling a little bit, trying to motivate him. I just said, hey, every Sunday you're either a good or bad coach based off of that Saturday, and it switches. When I see a thing on SEC Network that I walk by, or someone's, talking bad about Saban, after the A&M game as a coach, it just shows you where we're at.
All right, so I kind of structured it like this because I'm gonna make Ole Miss fans pissed off here in just a second, but here's my prediction. LSU, if they really want to make a splash hire, which Scott Woodward, the AD, known to make, hired Chris Peterson, hired Jimbo Fisher, hired, I believe her name's Kim Malarkey, the LSU women's basketball coach, multiple national champion from Baylor. You want to make a splash hire, you go to Oxford and get you Lane Kiffin. And I think that's what, I think it would be very attractive as well to Lane Kiffin to leave Oxford. That may sound crazy at the moment, but what did Kiffin just say right here? They basically want you out as soon as you lose a game. And remember when Ole Miss lost to Alabama? It was not even close this year. One of the main things he said is, we got to get our talent up. We don't match up with Alabama across the board. And that's true. Now, that's not saying he can't build that at Alabama, but I think they're a hell of a lot closer already at LSU. And I think LSU is a better job than Ole Miss. You don't have the in-state rival. You have all the advantages in the world. You've got national championships in a recent track record. And here's another thing to consider. Matt Corral, I think, makes that Ole Miss job attractive. Hell, that's part of the reason Lane Kiffin went down there, right? So what happens if Matt Corral, number 1 overall pick in the upcoming draft, how hard will it be to replace him? Maybe you go to the transfer portal. Maybe they have faith in their backups can be the next Matt Corral, because it's not like before Lane Kiffin, Matt Corral, he wasn't even playing. It was John Rice Plumlee. So maybe you sit here and say Lane Kiffin can do it again in Oxford. And I'm not sitting here doubting him. I'm not saying it's a lock that he would leave. But, hey, I'm just putting the pieces together. What did he just say here? You lose on 1 week, they want you done. They're calling you out. How much more difficult is that Ole Miss job going to be next season if Matt Corral jumps to the NFL, which he, by all indications looks like very likely. Hell, he may win the Heisman. He may be the number 1 overall pick. Where can you find the next Matt Corral? It's going to be a lot easier, I think, at LSU with everything they've got. They've got a quarterback in there. They've got a 5-star committed. And hell, I kind of suggested this on the last pod. To my knowledge, I don't think the Manning family is too thrilled with Lane Kiffin, to be honest with you. But maybe they give him a different look here if he's at LSU. It's not that I don't think that they want Arch playing for Lane Kiffin. Hell, I mean, how could you not be impressed by Lane Kiffin's track record? But just something to consider. If maybe Arch wants to stay a little bit closer to home. I know previously he was considering LSU. Now he's not. Does that change with this coaching turnover? We'll find out. But I don't think it hurts you with that recruitment either. And you don't name your coach. LSU would be stupid to name a coach just to get Arch Manning. That's not what I'm suggesting, but you got to get back in that race because based on all indication, I mean, he could be a true difference maker from the moment he steps on campus to when he leaves 3 or 4 years later. So, yeah, it has to be considered in my mind, even if, that is not a consideration for LSU. They've got the talent at the quarterback position. They've got the talent in the line of scrimmage. They're loaded at the receiver position with so many young, good prospects there. I'm just saying it makes all the sense in the world to me. If Scott Woodward wants to make that splash hire, he does it by going to Oxford and landing him Lane Kiffin. And I truly think Lane Kiffin would be interested in that offer. So we'll see how it plays out. But I do say that to say this. Sportsbetting.ag has released odds to be the next LSU coach. And again, you take all this with a grain of salt. I mean, these coaching odds, there's almost no value to these. I'm going to be honest with you. But where there is value is when they get closer and closer to naming a coach and the odds change significantly. That gives you an indication of perhaps who's making moves to get that job. So more than anything, I just want to present these. I'll throw them up on the YouTube channel here. But Lane Kiffin, currently the favorite, according to sportsbetting.ag. And again, I don't put hardly any stock into these, but maybe you want to bookmark these and reference them as we get closer to the end of the regular season. If one of these names rises drastically, is a good indication that he may be the next head coach. But Lane Kiffin currently listed as 2.5 to 1 to be the next LSU coach. Luke Fickell, the Cincinnati coach, 5.5 to 1. Billy Napier, 7 to 1. Jimbo Fisher, 7.5 to 1. Again, Jimbo's already come out here and said he don't want the job. Bill O'Brien, Alabama's offensive coordinator, 8.5 to 1. Mark Stoops, also 8.5 to 1. Bob Stoops, 9 to 1. How about that? I mean, James Franklin, 9.5 to 1. Joe Brady, 10 to 1. Mel Tucker, the Michigan State coach, 12 to 1. Dave Aranda, Baylor coach, former LSU defensive coordinator, 14 to 1. Urban Meyer, 14 to 1. And John Gruden, 100 to 1. Again, that gives you an indication of what these are worth. That they're putting John Gruden. I mean, say what you want about that situation. Given Coach O's, recent track record there during the pandemic, I think John Gruden would be a no-go for LSU. I'll just say that.